Before his death, Anissa Jones's brother finally broke his silence, and what he revealed has left the world stunned. For decades, the tragic story of the young family affair star remained shrouded in mystery and unanswered questions. But now, the person who knew her best has come forward with chilling details that change everything we thought we knew. Anissa, born Mary Anissa Jones on March 11, 1958, in West Lafayette, Indiana, began life far from Hollywood spotlight. Her early years in Charleston, West Virginia, were filled with the quiet charm of a small Appalachian town. But behind the peaceful facade, a storm was already brewing, one that would eventually tear through her childhood, her fame, and her family. And now, the truth is finally being told. Anissa remained in Charleston until the age of 5, those fleeting early years were the last time she experienced the warmth of a traditional, intact family. It was a fragile moment in her life, just before everything would begin to unravel. Her earliest memories were shaped within the walls of that quiet home, where the rhythms of family life still felt stable, safe, and whole. But beneath that surface, the story of her roots was already something rare and deeply powerful. Her maternal lineage traced back to Lebanon, a heritage rich with culture, history, and spiritual depth. Her grandparents had journeyed from the heart of Lebanon's Maronite Christian community, bringing with them their language, faith, and centuries-old traditions. Even Anissa's middle name held deep meaning. Anna wasn't just a name, it was a cultural gem, a variation cherished among Maronites and rooted in the ancient Persian name Anad, meaning immaculate or pure. It was a name that whispered of innocence, of beauty untouched by the world, a name that would soon stand in stark contrast to the pain and chaos that awaited her. Anissa's name wasn't just unique, it was a symbol of cultural pride, blending Middle Eastern grace with deep spiritual meaning. It stood out as she rose to fame, echoing her family's Lebanese Maronite roots in a world that rarely celebrated such backgrounds. Her upbringing was steeped in intellect and ambition. Her father, John Paul Jones, was no ordinary man, an accomplished engineer and a faculty member at Purdue University. He was shaping future minds while securing his place in academic circles. Her mother, Mary Paula Jones, née too, was just as driven, pursuing a degree in zoology and carrying forward the proud legacy of the Lebanese Too family, one of the names held in high regard within the Lebanese American community. But behind that promising academic exterior, cracks were forming. The early 1960s brought rising tension inside their home, and by the time Anissa was poised to begin her journey into the public eye, her parents' marriage had unraveled. The divorce came quietly, yet its emotional echo would leave a deep imprint on Anissa. As the spotlight began to find her, the foundation beneath her feet was already shaking. Even in childhood, she carried the invisible weight of a family fractured, just as the world was beginning to know her name. When her brother John Paul Jones Jr., who the family lovingly called Paul, was born in 1960, Anna became an older sister. In Anna's frequently tumultuous existence, their tight bond would turn out to be one of the few constants. The family moved to Pia del Rey, a coastal neighborhood in the Los Angeles area, shortly after Paul was born. The young Jones family's relocation from the Midwest to Southern California marked a dramatic shift in their surroundings and way of life, putting them at the center of the expanding entertainment and aerospace sectors. Anna's father got work in the rapidly expanding Southern California tech corridor and is currently employed in aerospace engineering, a career that flourished during the height of the Cold War and space race. Anna started going to Pio del Rey Elementary School, a small public school close to the Pacific Ocean, where she first displayed her inventiveness and personality. Later, during the most influential years of her early life, she transferred to Orville Wright Junior High School. When Anna was just 6 years old in 1964, she was first exposed to television. She made her debut appearance in a television commercial, which was typical among child actresses at the time. Charm, poise, and the capacity to follow instructions were necessary for these brief but difficult jobs. Anna was full of these attributes. Casting directors saw that she was a natural fit for younger roles due to her small stature and youthful appearance. Even though Anna was 8 years old, she was still small for her age by 1966, just 2 years after her commercial debut. She played the part of Ava Elizabeth Buffy Patterson Davis, a 6-year-old kid, on CBS's endearing sitcom Family Affair, which would become her most famous performance. Her life would be permanently altered by the show. After its 1966 premiere, Family Affair immediately gained widespread popularity. After their parents pass away in a terrible vehicle accident, Buffy, her twin brother Jody, played by Johnny Whitaker, and their teenage sister Kathy Garver become orphans. The 3 children are adopted by their affluent and hesitant bachelor Uncle Bill Davis, played by actor Brian Keith, since there are no other close relatives available. Sebastian Katz's portrayal of Mr. French, Uncle Bill's traditional English servant, helps him raise the kids. Viewers were moved by the emotional chemistry of a loving but heartbroken family attempting to adapt to their new life. Anna immediately won over viewers with her portrayal of Buffy, complete with her trademark pigtails and wide-eyed innocence. One of the most cherished aspects of the show was her character's relationship with her twin brother Jody, whom she lovingly referred to as Jody Woody. As Family Affair peaked in popularity in the late 1960s, Anna Jones became as one of America's most identifiable child stars. Her picture appeared on fan magazines and lunchboxes, and she was regularly asked to conduct interviews and public appearances. Anna had her one and only movie debut in 1969, when she was just 11 years old and at the height of her celebrity, in the musical drama The Trouble with Girls, which starred Elvis Presley. Even though she played a minor part, it was a significant moment in her career since she appeared on the big screen with one of the greatest entertainers in history. As a further indication of how well the Buffy character had connected with both viewers and network executives, she had a noteworthy crossover appearance in the same year as Buffy on the brief sitcom To Rome with Love, which starred John Forsythe. Anna had a surprisingly short career in both film and television, despite her immense popularity. When she was just 12 years old, the Family Affair ended in 1971. Jones had already been in the spotlight for about half of her life by that point. She decided to leave acting after the series ended, a decision she took consciously and for good. Anna never went back to work in movies or television, in contrast to some child stars who went on to play teens or adults. Her actress career ended abruptly due to a number of reasons, including changes in her family situation, the emotional and personal toll of early stardom, and industry cliché casting. Fans were left wondering what might have happened after she left the screen. Even though Anna's time in the spotlight was brief, her performance as Buffy left a lasting impression on the history of vintage American television, even as she herself battled to re-evaluate who she was independent of the part that had made her famous. For many years, one of the most disturbing and devastating mysteries in Hollywood has been the terrible life and premature death of Anna Jones, a former child star. With her wide-eyed innocence and contagious charisma, Anna won over millions of hearts as the endearing Buffy on the iconic 1960s sitcom Family Affair. Behind her charming TV appearance, however, was a young girl who was silently battling the debilitating demands of celebrity, a dysfunctional family, and a system that abandoned her when the limelight faded. The complete picture of what caused her untimely death at the age of 18 is finally becoming clear after years of conjecture and unsolved problems, and what has been made public is extremely upsetting. Anna's death in 1976 and its circumstances have long been the subject of conjecture. Numerous issues were raised by her unexpected death from a deadly combination of medicines. How could a young person who had just gained popular affection go into such darkness so rapidly? What transpired throughout the years between the postponement of family events and that last tragic day at a friend's house in Oceanside, California? And why didn't someone step in? Long hidden beneath layers of family dysfunction, court cases, and Hollywood apathy, the answers are now being discovered. And they depict the young life left in ruins, along with abuse and neglect. The way Anna was handled during her years in the spotlight, both on and off set, is a significant discovery. She was never given the safeguards or psychological support that such a high-stress, adult-centric setting required, as were many young actors of her era. Anna was just 13 years old in 1971 when the Family Affair came to an end. Her career abruptly ended, and she was forced to face the harsh reality that she had lost her place in the industry. She was not viewed by casting directors as a teenager. Buffy was still visible to them. Regretfully, nobody assisted her in overcoming that difficult change. She was thrown back into the routine, although her situation was everything but routine. She did not attend a typical school. There was no peer group for her to talk about. Furthermore, she had no adult mentors who were concerned about her welfare outside of the popularity she had previously attracted. The fact that the money she had earned, money to which she was legally entitled, was mismanaged was even more concerning. According to reports, her trust fund was either improperly managed or accessed too soon, even though it was supposed to be protected under the Coogan law to safeguard child actors. Anna lost both her financial security and her sense of purpose as her fame waned. Long separated and embroiled in acrimonious arguments, her parents were unable to give her the solid emotional support she required. Her mother missed the warning indications of her daughter's emotional breakdown since she was battling her own issues. Even though he was supposedly attempting to assist, her father had little legal authority at that time. In her later adolescence, Anna's pals were facilitators who exposed her to a more sinister way of life rather than encouraging companions. She started hanging out with an older, more problematic group of people who had less self-control and easy access to strong drugs. She was in dire need of acceptance, escape, and a sense of self. Her last days were characterized by progressively more careless actions, pointing to a young woman in freefall attempting to find any means to dull her suffering. That downward slide came to a tragic conclusion on August 28, 1976, when she was discovered dead after a severe drug overdose. A lethal concoction of barbiturates, cocaine, PCP, and quaaludes was discovered in the toxicology results. At the time, the coroner said it was one of the worst overdoses ever recorded in San Diego County. Her passing has a lasting impact, even after several decades, particularly on the entertainment sector, which frequently promotes child stars just to reject them as their innocence wanes. Long believed to be only about the reason behind her death, the Anna Jones mystery now appears to be more of a warning about what happens when a young celebrity gets engulfed by the same machine that made her famous. How she passed away was never the real mystery. It dealt with how many people let her down while she was still living. In latest years, interviews with circle of relatives contributors, newly exposed court docket documents, and first-hand stories from individuals who knew her have helped to reconstruct the tragic timeline of Anna's downfall. Her brother, Paul Jones, who also struggled with drugs and died under suspicious circumstances only some years after Anna, as soon as spoke publicly about the emotional scars left by way of their chaotic upbringing and Anna's surprising fame. He claimed she felt deeply remote, emotionally abandoned, and fully unprepared for an existence past the small screen. Those tales helped show that Anna's demise wasn't merely the result of a bad night time. It became the end result of years of trauma, loneliness, and forget. For many years, the tragic tale of child actress Anna Jones remained shrouded in thriller, whispered about in Hollywood circles and mourned with the aid of fans who remembered her because the sweet blonde-haired Buffy from the loved sitcom Family Affair. But the complete extent of her struggles, the pressures she faced backstage, and the heartbreaking very last days of her lifestyles remained largely unspoken until her brother Paul Jones finally decided to reveal the reality. In considered one of his final public statements before his personal untimely death in 1984, Paul opened up approximately the giant ache his family endured, lifting the veil on a harrowing tale of misplaced innocence, exploitation, and neglect that taken aback the arena. Paul, who had remained silent for years out of a mixture of grief, fear, and emotional trauma, found out intimate information in their lives before and after reputation changed the whole lot. In line with Paul, the Jones circle of relatives had never been organized for the type of interest and pressure that came with Anna's meteoric rise to repute. At simply 8 years vintage, Anna had become a family name, adored by using hundreds of thousands. However, behind the curtain, she changed into being driven beyond her limits. Paul mentioned how their mom, determined to ensure Anna's stardom, imposed strict field at the same time as ignoring the emotional toll it took on her daughter. He claimed that there was little to no parental protection from the industry's darker elements, and that Anna was regularly remote, overworked, and unable to enjoy the careless childhood maximum kids take as a right. The general public by no means knew the whole quantity of Anna's suffering, Paul insisted. After Circle of Relatives affair was cancelled in 1971, Anna struggled to find work and became left adrift in an international that had once cherished her, but now turned its back. Paul described her descent into despair and substance abuse, explaining that her surprising fall from stardom left her feeling worthless, used, and forgotten. She was most effective a toddler, he said solemnly, but the world handled her like a product to be consumed and discarded. He additionally revealed that Anna had attempted multiple times to seek assist, but her pleas had been omitted via her family, via the machine, and via the very enterprise that had built her up. Possibly most stunning of all became Paul's admission that on the night time of Anna's dying in 1976, he were with her simply hours earlier than she handed away from a massive drug overdose at simplest 18 years antique. He described the haunting image of his sister, already frail and hollow-eyed, looking to giggle and pretend the whole lot was great as they shared a quiet evening collectively. He could later blame himself for no longer spotting the severity of her situation, confessing that he had been too younger, too careworn, and too numb from his own trauma to peer the warning signs and symptoms. Paul's uncooked emotional revelation sparked a wave of renewed public interest in Anna's story, no longer as a cautionary story of a baby big name long gone incorrect, but as a sad instance of a prone young lady chewed up by means of a heartless device. His phrases painted a picture of a loving, lively, and sensitive female whose existence became stolen by way of repute, mishandled by using those who must have covered her, and in the end forgotten until it was too past due. And just 2 years after he bared his soul to the world, Paul Jones himself died at the age of 24 from what many accept as true with turned into a damaged coronary heart, leaving behind a legacy of reality that still echoes within the halls of Hollywood.